Hello, welcome to day 24 of the Gospel according to Child Protection and Safeguarding. How are you? Do you know where your children are? Do you know what they're doing this very minute? And as always, we will start with a quote. I have two quotes for us today. The first one is: comparison is the quiet architect of division. It raises children in the same house, but not in the same love. And privilege without character is only inheritance without wisdom, access without grounding, advantage without maturity. The second quote: children may survive a lack of wealth, but they often struggle to recover from lack of affirmation. When a parent constantly compares, one child learns pride, another learns inadequacy, and both are robbed of peace. We're still dealing with marriage and decisions, and we've been talking about true life stories. I have a story for us today that started in 1938. 1938. And the reason why I know this story is because um, I have interacted with the children of the particular person in question. A mother or a father, or when mothers or either parents constantly compare their children, they're subtly teaching them that love must be earned through competition and not received as a gift that is meant to be a covenant gift, something that you're meant to get freely from your parents, right? And over time, siblings stop seeing each other as allies, they start to see themselves as rivals. What should have been a bond of peace among siblings becomes a battlefield, and they have no blame in it. It is because of what the parents have done. Those subtle whispers in one child's ear, or those words that are carelessly dropped along the way when they're talking to the children, these little things cause division amongst siblings. Now, oftentimes, parents would say back in the day they didn't know any better. But there was something called native intelligence and ethical intelligence. That's how they knew how to navigate life's challenges. So, how come a lot of them cause division amongst their children? Now, the story I want to talk about is about a man who sort of was polygamous, not sort of, he was polygamous in nature, right? He had a wife, they were doing okay, had about maybe five children, then he stepped out and married this woman who had probably about 10 children for him. Now, this man who had this other wife who had 10 children, um, she came from a very poor background, and she had vowed to herself that she would never be married to a poor man. Now, the man in question was a farmer, and also he used to do businesses here and there, but he was a farmer. And so Fridays they would harvest stuff from the farm and then they go sell in the market somewhere in the south of Nigeria. Right. And so this woman, because she had vowed that she would not get married to a poor man, grew this business to something very fantastic. Of course, the man put in a lot of effort. It was what the man gave her that she used. He put in a lot of effort as well. And so this business grew. And the children were, they lived well at the time. Now, coming back to the to 1990, remember I said this story started in 1930, somewhere when they got married. Now they have children. Now, bringing the story back to 1990, the woman she handed over a lot of her properties to the children. But what she did wrong was she pitched each child against each other. I would say she did it intentionally and unconsciously, pitching each child against each other. Now, children who were birthed from the same womb, from the same house, became rivals amongst themselves. Why? Because of property, because of wealth, that they did not understand how it came. And that brings me to this word. When privilege is given without intentional character being formed in a child, entitlement is certain. They have no gratitude for what it is that they have received. And they will not know how to steward this wealth, right? Every time you give to your children the things that you think that they deserve because, they should have it, you hand it over to them just like that. They lack wisdom to steward this gift. So these children became enemies amongst themselves. My business is doing better than yours. This one goes to the court of the house and tells mommy, this one did XYZ to me, blah, blah, blah. And mommy is on the side of A. And the mommy supports A. B decides to manipulate or concoct a story to get mommy to his side. The house becomes a battlefield amongst siblings. Not only were they quarreling amongst themselves, they went to the extent to start getting people to beat their siblings up. So say I'm sibling A. Sibling B has done something terrible to me. I'll go and get some guys, agberos, to beat him up and, stage one funny thing and say, my brother did this. Don't tell that. They shouldn't trace it to me. And then they beat that sibling. And then that sibling comes. Something that should be a bond of peace becomes a battlefield. This is not hearsay. This is a true life story accounted by one of the surviving siblings. It got so bad that during one of the very funny arguments, one of the siblings was beaten. Was beaten so bad that he was rushed to the hospital and he lost his life. You would think that on the account of that, he would stop, right? No, he didn't. Mommy Dearest was still pitching the children against each other. So my question, if she was alive, one of the questions I would have loved to ask is, why did you give birth to children? Or to what end was this attitude, decisions in marriage, still talking about it, how your behavior affects your children? Why should the children want to gain their mother's love because of wealth or their father's love because of wealth? Why? Siblings begin to practice corruption inside the house. It's no longer the government, it is now inside your house. You are practicing corruption amongst yourselves. So you see those little times when you compare the first child to the last child or the middle child to the last child and you think it's nothing. It's a lot. You're building resentment in the hearts of these children. And they usually don't turn out right. And sometimes, a lot of them have complex issues. A lot of them have unresolved anger towards their siblings that they don't even know about. Now, a home is meant to be built. It's meant to be a place where children are rooted and grounded. And each one is celebrated without demoting the other. You can't be saying, can't you see your younger brother? He had 5 A's. Does he have 2 heads? Can't you see your younger brother? He got a job immediately he came out of school. You are good for nothing. You haven't gotten one. These words destroy the very foundation of a child. Correct your children without comparing. And as a parent, I would often say, go back and apologize to your children. It will not take anything away from you. You see, sometimes it's so funny. Children don't intend to do certain things when they become adults. They just abandon you. Or they will care for you from afar. We shouldn't do this. I mean, if you want to correct the things that you have done, apologize to your child first of all. Try to destroy the entitlement mentality you have created in your children because you created it in the first place. They had no business gaining all of the things you gave them. Why should that particular couple hand over properties to children who never worked for it, who do not understand what it means to labor or earn money? However, they became enemies amongst themselves. To destroy this kind of behavior, this self-entitlement mentality, what you need to do is, when you have a young child, right, give them chores. Let them understand what responsibility is. I often say that responsibility is you responding to the ability that you have as a person. So give a child a shoe to polish, on Sunday for the family. If a child comes and say, oh, I need a new shoe, he deserves a new shoe, yes. But when the child gets the new shoe, give him a responsibility. Polish the shoes of everyone in the house so you would understand what it means to get something. Teach. I get a bicycle for my son or my daughter. Of course, he earns it. Tell your son, you need to teach your siblings how to ride a bicycle every week. Because his other siblings might not have, and they might begin to think a certain way that you don't even know, right? Teach them. Say you have a teenage son or an adult son who can now use a phone, because I won't get into that conversation. Say this person is probably 17 or something, and you get the person a phone. Your responsibility would be, son, can you teach me how to use a particular app on the phone? When you do these things, it destroys entitlement mentality in the life of a child. And you must teach your children to work as a team from a very young age. They must learn to do tasks together. Praise them as a team. Don't praise Funke and say Funke did better than Femi. Don't do that. Praise the both of them as a team. When you do that consistently, you teach them to win together, not one winning against the other, and you rewire their brain when you do that. What you're trying to kill in the child when you do this is you're trying to kill internal competition amongst children, because you shouldn't be competing with your siblings. You should be competing with yourself and with the world, not with your siblings. Your siblings are meant to be like your ride or die, not competing with them. Now, when you have offended your child, or when you see that you have done this and it has caused chaos in your home, call your child aside and tell them, praise them, and first of all, apologize. Praise them and tell them, I love you the way God has created you. You are special. You are this. These are the traits that you have. You're good at doing this. You're good at doing that. Don't make them feel like they are better than their siblings. As a parent, don't do that. We do these things unconsciously. Don't do that. When I gave birth to the second child, he didn't give me so much stress like you have given me. Don't do that. The child begins to wonder, am I a castaway? Was I the one that caused the problem? Or you say things like, when I gave birth to my first child, we suffered, but my second child brought me wealth. It means the first child is bad head and suffer head. You don't say those things to the hearings of children. It affects them. So you need to be conscious of what you say, because every decision you make affects your child. So I'll leave you with this very long charge. Parents and caregivers are not merely raising children. They are shaping future husbands, wives, leaders, citizens, and caregivers of the next generation. Every comparison, every act of favoritism, every excuse made for poor character leaves a mark on a child's soul and on the culture of a family. A home can be filled with resources and still be impoverished in spirit. Children can inherit wealth, yet lack wisdom, inherit opportunities, yet lack discipline, inherit influence, yet lack integrity. What is not formed in character will eventually be exposed in crisis. I can never really wrap my head around how a sibling organizes touts and talks to beat up the other sibling just because of property. I didn't say they were step, they were from the same womb, the same father and mother, because one parent was pitching one child against the other. And you have destroyed the lives of the children. One of the siblings is late, yet the children are still squabbling and fighting amongst themselves because they were not taught right. Remember, everything rises and falls on childhood, and whatever you do is in the best interest of the child. I'll see you tomorrow for day 25. Goodbye.